Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Reputation Igniter podcast. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, write a review if you feel so inclined. I'm super excited to introduce my guest today, Rob Tinley. Rob, thanks so much for being on. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Of course. And as you know, if you've been listening to us for a while, or if you're brand new and this is your first episode here at Reputation Igniter, we are always trying to bring you leading experts in the field to give you a new insight, a level up inside your business. But more importantly, like we have on today, we like to drive our guests to be HVAC owners, just like yourself, as you're out there riding around in the truck, or maybe you're in the office just trying to get on some additional personal development, growth, some business management knowledge, something along those lines. We want to make sure that we're giving you the absolute best out there that we possibly can. And so Rob's going to share a little bit about his story. And we're super excited for him to kind of break into and talk about how to put together a membership program inside your organization. And again, this is to help you become a better HVAC owner, mainly because outside in the world of the mainstream media, we are being demonized as entrepreneurs, whether we're seen as greedy, money hungry, when in reality, all we want to do is put food on the table for our families, make sure that we're providing great employment for those under our care, and that we're serving the communities that we so much care about. And so with that, I'm super excited to help give you some insights, some wisdom on how to create that membership program. But maybe first, Rob, if you would mind sharing a little bit about your kind of here to there story now that you're owning Cooling Advisors down there in West Palm Beach. If you could kind of tell us, hey, how did you get there from maybe where you started in the industry? I think it's always fun to kind of hear people's little quick stories.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. So a little bit about myself. We're based out of West Palm Beach. We're a residential service repair replacement heating and air conditioning company, mostly air conditioning because we don't use much heat in South Florida. At this moment, we have 15 team members in total. From the start, I started in the industry in 2002. My dad has been doing it since the 70s, and I was a helper back then, just in the attics running flex stock. I was an install helper, and I didn't even know it really. So I mean, I was kind of just I was just doing everything and anything. It was just a job at that point. I went to college, and I graduated with a business degree in 2008, which was a really tough time to graduate because the economy was kind of collapsing at that point. I got a job in an office setting. It just wasn't for me. And I figured, I want to be in an industry where it's really recession proof no matter what happens. I don't want to be in this position, going into the future where, my career is uncertain. So basically, I ended up working with my dad in 2009 in New York. And then in the end of 2011, I moved down to Florida by myself. I bought a truck down here, and I just started running service calls. Really, it was just me and a truck and a phone, and I did that for 5 years. The first hire I ever took on was someone to answer the phone because I knew that was the first thing I wanted to kind of delegate. I was running around doing service calls, answering the phone. I pretty much didn't have a day off for like 7 years because I was constantly working because if I didn't do it, nobody else did it, right? So
Right.
that was the first hire I did in 2017. And as I grew, I needed people to help me out. And, just started delegating some of those tasks that were taking up a lot of my time, whether it was running a maintenance or doing an install, answering the phones. So I could really work on growing the business. And as Chris mentioned, one of the ways I did grow my business was through my membership program, which really, builds up your customer base so that in the future you have work. We spend so much time getting the leads and spending a lot of money on marketing to build your business, but a lot of companies don't do a good job getting back in the house. So I really focused on that even back then when it was just me. I was selling those memberships, maintenance memberships, and then what happens is you get so many of them, you need to hire people to do them. So that's kind of where we are now. Right now, we probably have about 1,500 maintenance memberships at 2 visits a year, so we can run about 3,000 appointments a year before the phone even rings, which is nice. So that's kind of where we are at now. There's 15 team members of us, and we're always looking to grow and find a better way to do things.
Love it. Love it. Well, thanks, Rob. I really appreciate you kind of giving it, like you said, all the way from being that helper with your dad, which I think is just always cool when you hear, like a second generation. I don't know if it goes back further than that, but second generation, family members being in the same industry, I think is so cool because it's so rare these days of people kind of taking on what the family tradition was. So that's very cool. So help
Well,
me.
and I'm sorry. Yeah, I've seen going piggybacking off of it. I've seen the industry change a lot in 20 years because we're going back, 2002. I graduated high school in 2004. I'm 37 years old. So back then, 20 years ago, when I was 17, this was like the industry if you had no other options. I mean, this was the
Sure.
industry, the bottom of the barrel. I saw how my dad worked, and he made a good living, but he worked really hard, coming home dirty and sweaty and everything like that. So that this was kind of like your last ditch effort to have a career, where people always looked at college as this golden ticket, and it's crazy to me how the roles have reversed. 20 years later, now it's an exciting industry where people are looking to get into it, where 20 years ago this was like, you were doing vocational school, and it was kind of looked down upon, where it's a lot different now. Because what happened was, all these people that went to college, they didn't get good jobs afterwards, and they have the debt and all this stuff like that. So, it's really incredible how much it's changed basically how people look at the industry.
Yeah. Well, and it's great because it should, right? I mean, I think that the work that we're doing, the innovation, the technology that's being infused in what we're doing, the fact that you actually get hands-on training, I think is so important. So much of school is so theoretical, right? So the fact that people actually have hard skills that they can actually be applying, well, obviously rounding those out with soft skills, I think it's a great place to operate and be in. And it's an exciting time in our industry. And I hope that the trajectory stays that way too, like you're saying. I mean, I think it's just so funny that it used to be looked down upon, but like the question is like who was making that image that way, right? Like I just feel like the people that were in it were so just salt of the earth kind of people, and I think the important piece is like how do we raise this millennial generation to really love and have that same enthusiasm and that same grit and determination to create make a positive impact in the community. So that's great. So Rob, let's jump into it, man. I got listeners, a lot of them, uh, maybe they've been on the fence about maintenance programs or memberships, and I think there's a difference between the two. Billy Stevens, who I've had on, he's a big proponent of membership programs. He kind of nodded a little bit to it, but I'd love to kind of maybe break down maybe your approach to your membership program. Maybe you can kind of outline just some things to think about. It's like, how do you get one of those started? Sounds like you were that was infused into what you were doing from the beginning. I think the exciting thing is you use that as a big lever arm to essentially be building goodwill and just sort of consistent appointments throughout the year so that you could hire somebody, right? Because that's always the biggest, scariest piece is like hiring another person and being like, hey, do I have the work for them? But this is a way, like you're saying, is to make sure that you've got jobs on the books theoretically because you've got these maintenance agreements. So maybe kind of help me understand that initial maybe transition, like whenever you implemented the program, what did that look like in terms of how you were kind of selling this and what that kind of looked like for you?
Okay, well, I want to start by saying, I've been in a lot of organizations, all these different ideas that I've gotten, I've accumulated over the years, just different ideas. And about say 2016, I took some training classes with Airtime 500,
Mm.
and they've been around forever. And basically, they were, when I went to that training, they were talking about maintenance memberships and to do it monthly. To offer it as a monthly membership. And when I first heard that, I was like, "Who's crazy enough to sign up for this thing?" You know what I mean? Like, this isn't Netflix. This isn't like a gym membership. Um, but it made a lot of sense because you go to a house, and let's say for easy numbers, the bill's $1,000.
Yeah.
It's hard for them to come up if they have three systems another $600 a year. So it's a
Yeah.
lot easier to sell it as a monthly, and then you have monthly cash flow. Now, what happens in the beginning, a lot of people I think get discouraged with it because in the beginning of it, you don't really, it takes a lot to build up traction. It's kind of like like a retirement account where, at first it's really not much money coming in. And then, next thing you know, if 10 years go by, you're making a lot of money. It's the same thing with the memberships. In the beginning, it's slow. It's kind of like, watching paint dry, really, because it's really not a lot of money coming in. So
Yeah.
basically, we go to the service call and we would say, hey, today's repair is going to be 1,000. You're going to get a discount today to sign them up. And then
Hmm.
moving forward, you're not going to pay this standard service call fee. It's going to be discounted on nights, weekends, and holidays. You're going to get front of the line service so that in the event that there is an issue in between visits, we're going to make you number one. And then you get discounts in between. And for a small monthly fee, we can get you signed up today. And then moving forward, you'll be part of our membership program. You're going to get 2 tune-ups a year. And then in between the visits, you're going to get discounts. So we started doing that, and it was a lot easier to sell when you ask for, $16 a month versus trying to get another $200 out of them. Because that's what our membership costs, $200 a year. So we started offering it monthly. You build up the monthly maintenance program, and then now you don't forget. They don't forget who you are. So I mean, our job really as owners is to, especially in HVAC, is to get back in their house in 6 months. And this is really the best way to do it. And then for the customers' standpoint, it's a great thing to have because, on 4th of July weekend, when their air conditioner breaks, they're not have to play Google roulette and pray that, someone is actually going to show up. And now they have a company that knows their house, knows their family, the technicians are familiar with them. So it's got to be a win-win for everyone. And, it makes sense for the customer, it makes sense for us. And now, years ago, I used to always be worried about the slow season, in the winter when it's cold out. And our focus just shifts now, instead of waiting for the phone to ring, we make the phone ring by outbounding. And then people call us back to book appointments. So it allows, it's easier to scale this way. It's we're never slow. There's always something going on. And when you're doing this, when you're doing this membership program, other things come about because of it. While you're there might be an issue that the technician sees, UV lights, duct work, new system replacement. And then, at the end of it, our goal is to get that system replacement, and it at least guarantees us the first call. So when the AC breaks, we get the first phone call because, it's really expensive to get that phone call. So when, they do find us on the radio or Google and we convert them into a maintenance membership, that's a free lead. It's a free phone call. So that keeps our marketing budget as we've grown over the years. It doesn't have to be this crazy marketing budget where we're not spending 20% of revenue on marketing, where we can actually be a healthy 6 to 10% a year and still grow because we have this book of business year round. And obviously it has its challenges too, because now you have all these people, they expect service now. They're paying you every month, so you have to really take care of those customers because there's more of a commitment now. It's not just kind of like whenever they call, you can get there whenever. You really have to make a commitment because they made a commitment to you. So you have to have people available to honor these memberships too. And then naturally, just like any other membership, you're gonna have people that cancel, people that's expired credit cards and that type of thing. So we have a team in the office dealing with that all day. Every month, there's expired cards or whatever the case is. So it is work, and I'm not saying it just comes easy, but if you do build it, it's almost impossible to go out of business. I really
Yeah.
believe that because I have a book of business that I know is paying me every month, whether it's January 1st, March 1st, or July 1st. I have constant cash flow throughout the year. And I mean, that's the number one thing that really destroys a business and why companies go out of business. They don't have cash flow. I'm never worried about cash flow. And then when you have this membership program, there's always something going on. So it's a win-win for everything, for everyone. And it's in order to really build it up, it's got to be the focal point of your company. Everyone has to know about it. We offer it on every visit, and we try to get them under the maintenance plan so that we could have a book of business, and then they could have a company that they could trust moving forward too.
Yeah, I mean, and kind of what you ended with there, trust, right? I think is so important. You kind of got to make a commitment, right? Are you going to be the kind of organization that's a little bit more fly by night, that's going to have these kind of humps and slumps, these slow seasons, these fast seasons, right? And just just dollar grabbing when you can in those high seasons, and just freaking out and pit at your stomach like in the low seasons? Or is it worth the steady strain effort of making sure that consistently when you guys are in the house that you're proposing these membership programs? And I think the other piece too, to just kind of like think about, is that like if somebody's getting billed by you monthly, I mean, people can go, well, that's going to be annoying. They're going to, they're going to see me monthly, and they're going to like, they could always potentially cancel. It's like, yeah. Or they could think and remind themselves that like, hey, this is the company that I use. This is the company that I trust. Anything that you can kind of get back in front of your customer, like you said, is a great opportunity, because a lot of people say, that they get the most referrals from their customers right after they've been in their home. So well, why wouldn't you want to be in their home more frequently, like you're saying? On top of that, I think Billy gave the number that like 8% of those systems, the 1,500 that you have, are going to be repairs or replacements, every single year. I think replacements every single year, right? So like you're really setting yourself up to have a good chunk of installs every single year, which is, some good cash flow there for sure. And so it's just about the consistency. But I love that you also, gave the analogy. It's like a IRA or any type of wealth investment, account that you have to invest in it in the beginning, and it's slow going. Because I think a lot of people can just feel like, well, I should have hockey stick growth in this. And like you're saying, it seems like it's much more of a steady strain kind of moving in that direction. But you get 5-10 years into business, and you should be locked and loaded for the rest of your business, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you compare it to the stock market, I mean, this isn't Bitcoin, it's not going to jump up overnight, but it's kind of like more boring, like a Procter Gamble type of stock,
There you
where
go.
it's
Yeah.
slow growing, it's steady, consistent type of growth. It's going to keep on growing, but yeah, you're not going to all of a sudden wake up tomorrow and have 1,000 new members. It takes a long time, and it's funny because I go to different trade seminars, and you can really tell how big a company is based on how many memberships they have.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know the exact KPI, but I think it's from what I gather around 500 per million. So
Yep.
if you need to do $10 million, then you need 5,000 memberships.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's so, but like I said earlier, it's not easy because you have people who move, people who pass away. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of that, or people that for whatever reason they didn't want to do business with you anymore. It happens, so you got to constantly filling that pipeline with more memberships, because naturally you're going to lose people too.
Sure.
It's not going to be constant growth where you never lose a member. It's going to happen. So,
Yep.
as long as you do a good job, it's a very small percentage, and you just keep on, working away. And not to mention, you go there twice, like you said, you go there twice a year. Now you're going to get referrals. I mean, nobody refers you unless if I haven't seen someone a year, I don't refer them.
Right.
So even referrals as yourself, I mean, anytime I refer someone, it's because they just did a good job for me. I don't remember, who painted my house in 2011, but you
Yeah.
might remember who did it 6 months ago,
Yep.
so it's every industry. You got to really be top of the mind for the customers. Our job is as owners and in HVAC is to make sure they never forget who we are, because
Yeah.
and even if we don't get them under maintenance membership, we're still reaching out to the people in our database that, didn't sign up 6 months ago, a year ago, and trying to get back in the house and capture that customer.
Yep.
So we're always trying to capture the customer, and then good things happen. Next thing you know, we're selling some of our add-on items like duct cleaning or UV lights or attic insulation or a full replacement. And then on top of it, that you got it's a billboard at their house every 6 months the neighbors see. So familiarity creates trust. So when
Yeah.
you keep on seeing the same trucks in your neighborhood, you got to say, I guess they're not doing that bad of a job because they're here every 6 months, or this customer wouldn't even have them back at the house. So I just know that I'm a consumer myself. I keep on seeing the same roofer in my neighborhood. Well, I guess he's doing a good job. That's
Yep.
kind of how it relays into your brain. So yeah, I mean, it has so many benefits, and it's almost impossible to grow an HVAC company without it. Because you can do it, but you're just going to spend so much on marketing that it's going to really be hard to grow. And
Yep.
I always kind of look at it. It's like, well, why is it that you have people that stay in the same truck, one guy for 30 years, and then you have a company that grows every year, and the real difference is building up your maintenance membership. That I really believe that. I mean, other people just wait for the phone to ring and for it to break, where we're actually outbounding to them and getting back in the house. You can't wait for it to break because you go to a house, what's the chances it's going to break again? It could happen, but sometimes it could be 2 or 3 years until they need another repair. So
Yeah.
now you're waiting for that phone call and praying that they remember you 3 years later. So
Yeah.
that's not going to happen. So between that, the membership, and then we're a big proponent on putting stickers everywhere too. While you're there, stay in the house. So if they do move, the next homeowner sees the sticker. I mean, I call it the $1 million sticker because I mean we've made millions of dollars on stickers. It's unbelievable. And
Yeah.
these are all just little things that people just don't think about. I mean, it's unbelievable. You'll see a brand new air conditioner installed, and there's not even a way to get a hold of the company who put it in. You know,
Yeah. It's crazy,
so
right?
these are
It's
all,
all those little.
yeah. It's little tactics, and they'll go spend all this money on Google, but they won't find a way to keep the customer, and then find a you got to be easy, find a way to be easy to do business with too. So if that sticker's on the air handler and they give you a call, that's a free lead. It's a 50-cent sticker. So
Yep.
while you're there, so it all ties together. It's not just one thing. There's a bunch of little things that we had a maintenance, and another thing is the maintenance members will refer you when you move too. So when they move, they'll say, "Hey, this is who we used," and we had a job that we did this week for over $10,000 because of that, of a sticker, and it was a previous maintenance membership. So all that stuff works. It takes time.
Yeah. So maybe you can touch on these two things here. Number one is you had said that yours is about $200 a year. How did you kind of come to that pricing? Right. Because I think, we've got listeners all across the US, right? How did you kind of identify the pricing that you wanted to go with? And then your $200 a year, what does that look like on a monthly basis? Just to give people kind of an idea if they haven't really done it, or maybe they've got a programmer themselves and they're kind of wondering like, hey, can I up my pricing? What would it look like to go to monthly? I do a biannual or whatever the case may be. Like, how did you kind of arrive at that number? And what is that, number?
So I arrived at 1650 a month. It comes to 198 for the year, so it's 99 a visit. I mean, I did that in 2016. We've never raised our maintenance membership. Um, the maintenance itself, you want to obviously cover the technician's time to be there, but it's not a profit generator. The actual monthly membership, after you send a technician there with a fully stocked truck and all your insurances and stuff, it doesn't drive a profit. But so that's how we came up with the number. I hear some companies that charge $400 or $500 a year. I don't want to scare people away.
Right.
I kind of just kept that number at a nice even number under $200 so that it made sense for the customer. It sounded good. I want to make more memberships. I mean, and grow that. So I never rocked the boat on that. I kind of just kept it at that low monthly rate. Even after all these years, I've just kept it the same because it's $99 a visit. So,
Makes
and it's
sense.
even round numbers. That's kind of how I got to it. And like I said, it's not designed to generate a profit. It's just designed to pay some of your bills and your time to go there. The profit really comes on when they need you for other things.
Yep. Absolutely. Love it. So, Next question here. You have talked about like the importance. Obviously, setting up the program is one thing, but also fulfilling and maintaining it is a totally different one, right? So, do you use any specific like software inside your business? Is this all built into the CRM that you're using? Like, help people understand, like, okay, great, I want to do this. I'm implementing it. Like, how do they make sure that like people aren't falling through the cracks, that they're actually fulfilling on it? Because like one of the ways to piss people off is to be charging them $16.50 a month and not show up for 3 years, right? So like how are you sort of structuring and maybe I know there's this in your slower season, like the theoretical slow season, right, is when you're calling these people and you're making the phone ring, so to speak. But like, is there anything in particular you're doing? Are you tagging these people? Are you setting reminders to your team? Like, do you pull a report on a weekly basis? Like, what does that look like? Maybe walk me through kind of the technical aspects of how you're executing on this.
Yeah, so we use House Call Pro as our CRM. We use all tags to keep track of all that. So, our whole database, we can pull a report on that. When's the last time we went there? When their next visit is due. And, I mean, naturally, a lot of these people aren't going to answer the phone. I mean,
Sure.
people just don't answer the phone anymore. So it's a challenge to get them on the schedule. So yeah, so basically we keep it on House Call Pro. We make sure we don't miss it. And listen, I mean, we're not perfect. Things do slip through the cracks, but if someone calls and says, "Hey, it's been," sometimes they'll say, "Hey, it's been 8 months since you've been there." All we tell them is say, "Hey, all right, great, thanks for calling. We probably did try to reach out to you. We just got your voicemail, but now that we got you on the phone, let's get you on the schedule." And people are usually pretty okay with that. And then, some people, like any other membership, some people use it a lot and some people don't. So, some people, a lot of the times they're snowbirds. They only want us to come once a year. So, it just depends. It's just like every other membership. If you go to Planet Fitness, some people use it every day and some people never use it. So, some people call us all the time. So it just depends. But we do keep track of it. We do outbound to them. We do text them and email them to remind them. And, we really use it as a tool to keep everyone busy. It's all based on demand. So we're constantly checking to see what the temperature is the next few days. And we could really only go about 3 days out because it's really not that accurate if you try to look at the temperature a week from now. So we're looking, how many demands we're going to get based on the weather. If it's above 80 degrees, if it's 85 degrees, I know we're going to get a lot of demand. And sometimes I want to at least book the calls so that all the technicians get, 3 to 4 or 5 calls a day. Um, and then, if it's really busy, we'll just reschedule it. So we'll tell them, hey, we have some customers that are down with no air conditioning. Would you mind if we rescheduled your appointment? And most of them are okay with that, but we only do it once, because you don't
Yeah.
want to get them upset. So I mean, you
Yeah.
can't reschedule them twice. So we'll make a note to them. Hey, it was already rescheduled. Come hell or high water, we're going to be there no matter what happens. So
Oh,
yeah, so it's like Tetris trying to fill that board, keep everyone busy. Um, and then, throughout the day, things happen. Demand comes in, and we got to alter our schedule. Our schedule in the morning never looks the same at the end of the day.
right.
So there's constantly things getting moved around, and you got to send the right tech to the right call. I'm not going to send the guy who just started on the 2009 unit that has leaky R22.
Yeah.
That's so. There's a lot going on throughout the day to ensure that you're profitable.
Yeah.
And you're sending the right qualified technician to that call. So there's a lot to it, and it's a constant struggle to organize that. But yeah, we do a pretty good job in keeping in touch with them. And if things do slip through the cracks, then we'll make it right for the customer.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I think, your use and, just something I'm always advocating for is, data hygiene, right? Making sure that you are annotating any of these issues that are going on, whether you reschedule with somebody or you bumped them or whatever, just so that when you call them back, you're not doing it again kind of thing. And, breaking that trust and that goodwill, I think is such an important piece to that. But like you said, it's kind of a constant juggling act. But, when you do have those people like in your database that you can be reaching out to, there's so much power to that, right? So Great. Let's if we could kind of wrap up, you kind of mentioned, right? Like, I think, and this is the exciting piece of this, right? Is that you can have this sort of core group of people inside of your business that you can always kind of reach out to. Like, maybe kind of paint a picture for, what your business looks like now, right? You kind of shared where you started, stuff like that. But now that you have this business, that we've got all these memberships, right? Like what does marketing look like for you guys now, right? You'd kind of mentioned that you've been able to kind of like pare back some of that. So like, where are you now? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of guests that are listening that are spending a lot of money on, SEO, and they've got a big bad website, and they're trying to, do pay-per-click and local service ads and all that kind of stuff. Like, what have you kind of found is like now the new mixture that you've got, or you're able to do as a result of having this core, group of members?
Yeah, I mean, you go back to the basics. I mean, having a website, obviously you want a professional looking website. Google reviews are really important. We always focus on getting
Of
those.
course.
That's a constant emphasis, just like the club membership. So we're getting reviews because, you know, what 100 reviews was 10 years ago, that's like the new 1,000.
Yeah.
So I mean, and then who knows what it's going to be in 10 years? So it's like,
Yep.
so we're always focusing on that. We're on the radio. We're on one of the most listened to shows in the Palm Beach area. We've been on that for a few years now. And then we're on Nextdoor. We're on the Better Business Bureau. We're on Angie's List. A little bit of everything. But the core to our phone ringing is that membership. So they'll find us on Google, and then next thing you know, we want to take them out of the market and make them a customer. So yeah, so basically, we do all the fundamental things that you should be on, like Google and the website, and we have a Facebook page and Nextdoor. But once you get the membership, you start getting referrals. We have a referral program that we do.
Nice.
We send out money to people that will send out gift cards to customers that refer us, because now they're part of our sales team. They're advocating for us, and we get a lot of leads every week from referrals. So there's not one magic pill to growing the business. You kind of got to do a little bit of everything. So
Mm-hmm.
but between the referrals and the club membership, I mean, if we didn't want to spend another penny in marketing for the rest of our lives, we probably could and still, make a good living, because that phone's always going to ring between the club membership that we have and the having our, like I said before, the stickers all over the units, and referrals. Just those three things alone, we get a lot of phone calls from. But yeah, I mean, basically, it's a little bit of everything. You want to get on Google, the Google LSA listings. You want to be on that live. You want to be on, we're accredited with the Better Business Bureau, and we're on the we do the radio because that's been good to us as well. So between a little bit of everything, you know, we get good call volume,
Love
but
it.
it's not one thing.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Like you said, it's a mixture, and I think it's all like depends on like regionally where you're kind of located as to what makes sense. And obviously, you found a good pocket there with the radio, so I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, all the other things are great things to be looking into. So we're gonna wrap up. This is my last question. I like asking this. Stole this from the guys over at HVAC Success Secrets Reveal. But what is the one question that you wish that I had asked you, so that you could kind of share maybe some insight, piece of wisdom that our listeners would really appreciate?
Um, I guess what separates a business owner that's successful and one that has to go out of business?
All right, let's hear it. What's the response to that question?
I The response to that, between staying in business and going out of business, is consistency. Um, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I always looking for answers, but I'm always looking to get better too. So there's always a consistency to me. I show up every day, come to work, try to improve, figure out a better way to do things, and really never give up on it. And there's been times where it's been very tiring and trying, but you just got to always do. You always got to keep on going, no matter what happens every day. Get a little better every day, and next thing you know, you'll always be in business. So I mean, I think that's one of the things that I can say about that is that even if you think you want to quit, just always look at it. Hey, I'm just getting a little better every day, and you're really only competing against yourself. You know, so I'm always just looking at what we did last year and what could we do to do better than last year. I can't look at my any I don't have any competition as far as I'm concerned. The only competition I have is me from last year in our company.
Love it. Love it. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate that. You know, I think to your point, right, is having that growth mindset and just wanting to get better consistently every single day and just that 1% better every day. And, kind of put blinders on, don't look at the competition. Obviously, you always want to be open to, new ways to sort of approach your business and think about it, right? But, you can really, that can be the thief of joy in a lot of ways, right? And so for you, like you said, just kind of looking at, hey, what did we do last year? Okay, how do we beat that this year, right? And as long as you're kind of like, economically agnostic, socially agnostic, politically agnostic, whatever, just like pushing all that side aside and just knowing, hey, how do we serve our communities is the focus. I love it, man. So real quick, the thing that we're always trying to build here is a stronger, better industry. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, reach out, says, dude, that guy Rob, he's brilliant, man. I would love to get ask him a couple of questions, following questions. What's the best way? Maybe somebody get a hold of you. Field, you could put as much of a buffer between that and you as you want, or as little. It's up to you.
Yeah, you can email me, robert@coolingadvisors.com. Any way, there's any way I could help anyone, shoot me an email and your contact information. And if you want to send me your phone number, I could talk to you as well. Anything I can do to help, because there's been a lot of people that have helped me along the way throughout this journey for since 2002. So any you can email me that, robert@coolingadvisors.com. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And just know that any questions that you do have for me is really coming from, real world experience. I'm not all talk, no action. I'm not saying I know everything, but this is through the trenches. So, if you do have a question, I'd be able to give you real world advice, not just from, talking about it, actually doing it every day. And I'd be happy to talk to anyone that needs some guidance.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rob, for just your authenticity, genuineness, and being willing to share, and your willingness to also connect with our group, our audience, our network. That means so much to me. And I think, just like you said, our goal here on the Reputation Igniter podcast is to be not talk, but all action, giving you the insight, the wisdom from those who have kind of gone before, have been in the trenches, just like yourself, are finding or heading these challenges head on, finding solutions, and continue to innovate and improve. So please, if you found value in this podcast, share it with at least one person that you know. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss another episode when we drop it. And again, our focus here is just to continue to elevate our industry so that the greatest barrier to entry is the level of professionalism with which you have to execute your business in operation. Rob, I think you did a great job of just highlighting the importance of, setting up a program to serve your community, but making sure that level of professionalism with which you're executing that program is top notch, so that people keep coming back year after year, month after month, and just improving their business. So with that, we're going to sign off, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.